Say, working in the jelly bean factory, that's a nice job. But when the jelly beans are in a pile like that, it's hard to check what you've got. Good idea. When you sort the jelly beans by their color, it will be easier to compare how many of each color there are. Let's make a row for each of the 4 colors: yellow, blue, green, and red. Can you help our friend?
Drag each of these jelly beans into the correct row. When you're done, click OK. That's right. These jelly beans are in the correct rows.
Here we can see the 4 different colors of jelly beans. And in each row, we can see all the jelly beans that are that color.
Click on the rows of jelly beans. This is called a picture graph. A picture graph is a useful way to show and compare numbers of objects.
Neat! We can use this picture graph to compare how many jelly beans of each color there are.
Which row in the picture graph has the greatest number of jelly beans? Click on the row, then click OK. That's right. The yellow row has the greatest number of jelly beans.
We can see that the row of yellow jelly beans is longer than the other rows, so it has the greatest number of jelly beans. Now, I wonder which color jelly bean there are fewest of.
Click on the row which has the fewest jelly beans. When you're done, click OK. That's right. The green row has the fewest jelly beans.
I get it. The row of green jelly beans is the shortest. So this row has the fewest jelly beans. We don't have to count. The picture graph shows us that there are more yellow jelly beans than any other color, and fewer green jelly beans than any other color. Say, we can also use the picture graph to compare the number of jelly beans of one color to another color.
How many more yellow jelly beans are there than green jelly beans? Click on a number, then click OK. There aren't that many more yellow jelly beans than green jelly beans. Try again. That's right. There are 4 more yellow jelly beans than green jelly beans.
When we look at the row of yellow jelly beans and the row of green jelly beans, we can see that there are 1, 2, 3, 4 more jelly beans in this row. So there are 4 more yellow jelly beans than green jelly beans. Hey, let's see what else this picture graph tells us.
Which 2 rows in the picture graph have the same number of jelly beans? Click on the rows, then click OK.
Hey, let's see what else this picture graph tells us.
Which two rows in the picture graph have the same number of jelly beans? Click on the rows, then click OK. That's correct. This row and this row have the same number of jelly beans.
I see. The row of blue jelly beans and the row of red jelly beans are the same length. So, there are the same number of blue jelly beans and red jelly beans. I guess we should find out exactly how many jelly beans of each color there are. Well, the first jelly bean in each row is here. So, we can put a 1 here.
Click on the arrow.
Now we can see the number of jelly beans in each row.
Click on the row of yellow jelly beans. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The last yellow jelly bean in the row here is right above the number 8. So there are 8 yellow jelly beans.
Okay, what about, say, the red jelly beans?
Click on the row of red jelly beans. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The last red jelly bean in the row here is right above the number 6. So there are 6 red jelly beans.
So the number underneath the last jelly bean in each row shows the number of jelly beans in that row. The number 6 is under the last blue jelly bean, so there are 6 blue jelly beans.
How many green jelly beans are there? Click on a number, then click OK. That's right. There are 4 green jelly beans.
The number under the last jelly bean in this row is 4. So there are 4 green jelly beans. A picture graph sure makes it easy to show and compare numbers of things. Okay, you'd better send those jelly beans on to the tasting department. What a delicious job that must be. Better get ready there. You've got to pack some jelly beans for the candy store. The jelly beans come in 4 different colors: yellow, blue, green, and red. And you need to check how many of each color are going into this bag. This table should help you keep track of what's being packed.
Click on this button.
Well, that's 1 yellow jelly bean, but there could be more to come. We'd better not write a number in here just yet. Instead, we can use a mark like this to show each jelly bean we've counted.
Click on this mark. This is called a tally mark.
1 tally mark here shows that we've counted 1 yellow jelly bean. Okay, let's use tally marks to help count the jelly beans.
Click on this machine.
Ah, a green jelly bean. One tally mark here shows one green jelly bean. Okay, that's one green and one yellow jelly bean in the bag. A red jelly bean.
Where would you put this tally mark to show this jelly bean? Drag the tally mark into the table, then click OK. That's it. Since this is a red jelly bean, the tally mark goes here.
Okay, into the bag with that red jelly bean. Hey, two more yellow jelly beans.
Drag tally marks here to show two more yellow jelly beans. When you're done, click OK. That's it. Two more tally marks here show two more yellow jelly beans.
Two more yellow jelly beans in the bag. Now there are 3 tally marks here to show that 3 yellow jelly beans have been put into the bag altogether. Look out! The machine is speeding up.
Click on each jelly bean. One green jelly bean. One green jelly bean. One green jelly bean. One red jelly bean.
Now the tally marks in the table show that altogether we have counted 3 yellow jelly beans, 4 green jelly beans, and 2 red jelly beans. Yikes! Here come the rest of those jelly beans. You'll have to be quick with those tally marks. Don't miss any. Nice going. Now we can count these tally marks to see how many yellow, blue, green, and red jelly beans we've put in this bag. There's a lot of tally marks here. I think it'll be easier to count them if we group each 5 marks.
Click on the first 5 tally marks in the yellow row. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Right. We draw 1 tally mark across the other 4 tally marks, so it's easier to see there's a group of 5 here. Let's do the same for the other groups of 5 tally marks here, here, and here.
Click on the other groups of 5 tally marks.
Now it's easier to count the tally marks in each row. In the row for the yellow jelly beans, there is 1 group of 5 tally marks and 3 more. So there are 8 tally marks altogether. And that means there are 8 yellow jelly beans in the bag. Now, what about the blue jelly beans? There are no tally marks in this row, so there are no blue jelly beans in the bag. You'd better put a 0 here to show this. Now, to find out how many green jelly beans are in the bag, you'll need to count these tally marks.
How many green jelly beans are in the bag? Drag a number here, then click OK. That's right. There are 12 green jelly beans in the bag.
These two groups of 5 show 5 10 jelly beans, plus 2 more, which is 12 green jelly beans altogether. So, there are 12 green jelly beans in the bag. Just red to go. Look at the tally marks in this row. We can see one group of 5 tally marks here and one more, which makes 6 tally marks altogether.
Click on the tally marks in the red row. 6 tally marks in this row means that there are 6 red jelly beans in the bag.
Those tally marks were useful for keeping count. But now that we know how many of each color jelly bean we've put into the bag, I guess we don't need them anymore. We can just keep these numbers. Say, let's see if we can compare the numbers of each color jelly bean using a graph. We'll need a row for yellow, blue, green, and red jelly beans. We don't have the jelly beans here anymore to make a picture graph. Instead, let's draw a row of squares beside each color. 12 squares should be enough. Then we can fill in as many of these squares as we need to show how many of each color jelly bean we have. Okay, let's start with yellow jelly beans.
Click on the arrow to show how many squares need to be filled. You fill 8 of these squares to show that there are 8 yellow jelly beans in the bag.
From this table, we can see that there are 8 yellow jelly beans in the bag. So to show this, we fill 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 squares in this row of the graph. Okay, it's blue next. But there are no blue jelly beans in the bag. So, we don't need to fill in any squares in this row. Now, what about the other colors, green and red?
Click on this row.
Okay, 12 green squares here show 12 green jelly beans.
Now click on this row.
6 red squares here show 6 red jelly beans. You know, this graph is not so different from a picture graph. But instead of using a picture of a jelly bean, here each jelly bean is shown by coloring in a square. The colored-in squares make up bars that show how many jelly beans of each color there are. Now we can write the numbers from 1 to 12 here to make it easier to see how many squares are filled in for each color.
Click on this graph to see what it's called. This is called a bar graph.
Right, a bar graph, because it uses bars to show and compare how many of each color jelly bean there are. Now we can tell from the graph that there are 12 green jelly beans in the bag, because the end of this bar is above the number 12. And because this bar is the longest, we know that there are more green jelly beans than any other color. Because there is no bar here, we can tell that there are no blue jelly beans in the bag. Let's see what else we can tell from this bar graph.
How many more yellow jelly beans are there than red jelly beans? Click on a number, then click OK. That's not correct. Try again. That's not right. There are 2 more yellow jelly beans than red jelly beans.
The yellow bar has 2 more squares colored in than the red bar. So, there are 2 more yellow jelly beans than red jelly beans. Well, it's about time you got that bag sealed and ready for delivery.
Let's see some bar charts for other bags of jelly beans. Click on these up and down arrows to change the number of each color jelly bean.
It's nearly time for lunch. Jelly beans on toast. Mmm.
Well done! You've completed this lesson. Click here to go to the practice area, or click here to return to the menu. Can you complete this picture graph? Drag each of these fruits into the correct row. When you're done, click OK. That's it. The completed picture graph looks like this.
The oranges go in this row. The pineapple goes in this row. The apples go in this row. And the banana goes in this row.
Drag the pebbles, shells, and starfish to the correct rows of this picture graph. When you're done, click OK. That's right. These pebbles, shells, and starfish are in the correct rows.
The pebbles go in this row. The shells go in this row. And the starfish go in this row.
Which row in this picture graph has the greatest number of cups? Click on the row, and when you're done, click OK. That's it. This row has the greatest number of cups.
The row of green cups is longer than either of these 2 rows. So this row has the greatest number of cups.
How many more yellow birds are there than blue birds? Click on a number, and when you're done, click OK. That's not the correct number. Try again. That's right. There are 3 more yellow birds than blue birds.
Looking at the row of yellow birds and the row of blue birds, we can see that there are 1, 2, 3 more birds in this row than there are in this row. So, there are 3 more yellow birds than blue birds.
Drag tally marks here to show how many orange balloons there are. When you're done, click OK. That's it. 3 tally marks here show 3 orange balloons.
The tally marks in this row show how many orange balloons there are. So 1, 2, 3 tally marks here show 1, 2, 3 orange balloons.
Click on each row in the table.
There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 yellow hats. There is 1 blue hat. There are 1, 2, 3, 4 green hats. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 red hats.
How many more orange balls are there than red balls? Click on a number, then click OK. That's not correct. Try again. That's it. There are 7 more orange balls than red balls.
The orange bar has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 more squares colored in than the red bar. So there are 7 more orange balls than red balls.
Good work. You've completed these practice questions. Click here to go to the workout, or click here to return to the menu.
Hey there! That's a lot of pretty maple leaves and oak leaves you've collected. And you've used tally marks to show how many of each you've got.
How many leaves do these tally marks show? Drag a number here and here. When you're done, click OK. "14" is the number shown by these tally marks. But that's not the number shown by these tally marks. Try again. That's right. 5, 10 tally marks show 10 maple leaves. And 5, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 tally marks show 14 oak leaves.
You can also use a bar graph to show how many maple leaves and oak leaves you've collected. There are 10 maple leaves, which you can show by coloring in 10 squares. Now, let's show how many oak leaves there are.
Click on the arrow to show how many oak leaves there are. There are 14 oak leaves, which you show by coloring in 14 squares.
From the bar graph, it looks like there are more oak leaves than maple leaves. But how many more are there?
How many more oak leaves than maple leaves are there? Click on the number, then click OK. That number does not show how many more oak leaves than maple leaves there are. Try again. That's it. There are 4 more oak leaves than maple leaves.
To find out how many more oak leaves than maple leaves there are, First, look at the number of oak leaves you have and the number of maple leaves you have. Looking at the bar graph, you can see that the end of this bar is above the number 10, which shows that there are 10 maple leaves. And the end of this bar is above the number 14, which shows that there are 14 oak leaves. Now, let's see how many more squares are colored in on this bar than on this bar.
Click on this arrow. 10 plus 1, 2, 3, 4 more is 14.
There are 4 more squares colored in on this bar than on this bar. So our friend has 4 more oak leaves than maple leaves.
Congratulations! You've completed this unit. Click here to return to the menu.